All right, good morning, everyone. This is Kenneth Price, and this is, what are we at? We are Saturday, October 15th. And this is the third meeting that I'm going to be hosting for people who want to bridge my two most favorite programs in the world, the 12 Steps and A Course in Miracles. So this is going to be recorded for YouTube because the stuff that comes through, there's so many nuggets of wisdom that come through that I collect all these nuggets of wisdom. It's just kind of like become my hobby. Recovery's become my way of life for the last 30 plus years. So this is my brief introduction. What we're going to do? I actually know what I don't know what we're going to do. This meeting's going to go in any direction that it needs to go. I'm not a fan of structure. I'm not a fan of planning, because I've been a 12 stepper, and the last 10 years I'll just fully immersed in the Course in Miracles. This meeting's going to be completely guided. Okay, we're going to invite spirit into these rooms, and it's going to go in the direction that is going to be for the highest benefit of everyone. So my brief introduction. I've got a lot of notes, but I'm not really feeling guided to share them right now. I think all of us who come on this Zoom call, we've all been in the 12 steps. We've all kind of realized that the world is, what's the word? How do I put this? The world doesn't work, and there's got to be a better way. We all said that prayer. And we're going to just get together, and we're going to share our wisdom. If people want to learn about the Course in Miracles, then we're here to. Listen, the 12 Steps is a we program. Can't recover in isolation. Then I get to the Course in Miracles, and Jesus says the exact same thing in the Course. They're just two side by side paths. And I insulted somebody 2 weeks ago, so I got to be careful with my language. Except that the 12 Steps was written very simple 1930s language, and the Course in Miracles is advanced metaphysics, spiritual kindergarten, spiritual college. So I hope I didn't insult anybody's 12-step program by calling it spiritual kindergarten, but I think those were the exact words of Bill Wilson. So I think I'm safe to say that. All right. Remember, this is spirit guided. So here's the way I like to start all my Zoom calls. I like to say the healer's prayer, because I like to do Zoom calls, and I have to get out of the way, or I have to get my ego out of the way. Jesus said it in the Bible, when two or more are gathered. But I'm not a Christian, but the Course in Miracles says it in different language, and this is how it goes. Okay, we are here only to be truly helpful. We are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing that he or she goes there with us. And this is my favorite part of the healer's prayer, because we all looking for healing, all of us. And everyone's, this is why the last sentence I always give emphasis. We will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is being recorded for YouTube. Usually I like to go on for about an hour and 15 minutes. However, last week we had Reverend Dale Blackford on board, and he went on for 2 hours. if I need to hit that, if that record button goes on I'm not going to turn the record button off anyway, because if he starts to go on a roll, I want it all archived. So we can go in any different direction we want to go. We've got Lynn, Kat, Casey, and is that Pam? Okay, give it Pam, because there it is. I haven't met you yet, Pam, so maybe we'll start off with you, put you on the spot if you don't mind. And if you don't want to be put on the spot, we can go on to someone else. I've got a lot of topics I'd like to discuss. Dale's not going to come on for another 15 minutes. So, but it's your meeting. If you want me to bring up my topics, fine, or anything, and call it a hybrid 12-step AA expression session. What would you like to hear? Pam, would you like to unmute yourself? How did you find us? What would you like to? Where would you like to go? Where would you like to go? You're the newcomer in this meeting, and the newcomer is always the most important. So,
hello, friends. My name is Pam, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi. So I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and I'm here because I just went to Course in Miracles retreat with a friend of mine here in Ottawa, and I had been discussing with her last week how my journey of being part of AA and my experience there and how it intersects with the Course in Miracles and lots of other spiritual stuff, you know. And so she sent me this link. I don't know if it was last night or something, but she sent it to me. So I thought, you know, I don't think curiosity killed the cat, you know. So I'm here out of curiosity and for fun to find out what this is all about. I'm actually at work right now and it's very quiet. And normally I wouldn't be able to do a Zoom call, but things happen the way they do. So here I am, and I'm just looking forward to being with you and having some fun. That's
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Pam, we've got, I can break people's anonymity because we're here, you know, in well, because of the nature of this meeting. We got 3 of my favorite 12 steppers. We got Kat, Casey, and Diona, and we're all, you know, 12 steppers and immersed in the Course in Miracles. And we've also got Lynn. Lynn, would you like to, I just briefly talked with you before the meeting, and I was still putting, you know, messages in the chat feature. So would you feel comfortable unmuting yourself and sharing a little bit about, I just love to get to, I love getting to know others. I can never have enough mighty companions.
Oh my God. I'll tell you this combination. I'm Lynn, I'm a son of God, and I've had stories of alcoholism. And then I had a story of A Course in Miracles that took my breath away. Well, you know, and you know, yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Let's see, I stopped drinking on, let's see, what day, May 10th, 1992. And I think that same month, I found Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love, and I read it 3 times. I got to get the book she's talking about. I was like, oh, this makes sense. This makes sense. And it's so entwined with the AA, you know, they're both, so the divinity is palpable, you know, obviously, you know, you see so many miracles. And yeah, I found this on Facebook. I'm a member of many spiritual groups, and I run I run one at NAMI. And well, I founded my NAMI, National Affiliation for Mental Illness, and you know, everybody's allowed. Even, you know, there are many paths, and we try to find the, you know, the love that's, you know, that's really matters, you know. And it's wonderful to be here and to see more mighty companions. I love it. Thank you for putting this together.
Well, no, thank you for showing up. This is how I do my program, whether my program's ACIM or 12-step, every single day. I wanted to touch on something, actually 3 things you said, because if you don't mind, I run my Zoom, I take notes because there's so many nuggets. What I liked about you introduced yourself as, you said son of God or daughter of God, and about your stories of alcoholism. And that is very valuable to bring up, because what I struggled with in the program was, and it was no fault or no blame, because Bill W. only had 1930s language. And it was essential that we put the problem out there. It was essential that you know, we break the ice and come out of denial. So I would announce myself, my name is Kenneth and I'm an alcoholic.
Mhm.
The subtleties as the years went on became more and more important to address. And what I love about what you shared is your stories of alcoholism. If we take the component of the addiction and we simply compartmentalize it into a story, it enables us to depersonalize the story, to stand back and become the witnesser of the story. And it's certain. I mean, people, kind of get frustrated because I nitpick at metaphysics, but the metaphysics are what I have found to have been my escape hatch for the metaphysics itself. So I love that you said that, Lynn. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was you mentioned NAMI, and I don't know if you know this, but I run a ministry. It's the name of my ministry is psychiatricsobriety.com. And basically we assemble twice a week in Zoom to unwind ourselves out of the mental illness stories themselves. So it's no accident that you came on the Zoom call, because we're all in the same boat. 12 steps, Course in Miracles, and mental illness.
Let me write that down. Could you say that again?
It's psychiatricsobriety.com.
Sobriety.com. Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
We just it's clunky. It's all over the map. And the message, it's just, well, I'm not gonna try and judge my own ministry. I want to get to everyone before Dale comes on board. So who wants to go next? Kat. I'm in love with Kat, and I can say this, I'm a gay man, so I can take liberty with the hearts and things. I'm in love with Kat, and I'm in love with Diona. Either one of you, I can go on and on, but you don't want to make this meeting about Kenneth. I want you guys to start sharing your nuggets for this archive. Who wants to go first? Kat wants to go first.
Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm addicted to judgment, and I have a problem with perception. That's how I'm going to choose to identify myself. Because addiction is an interesting concept in the mind that I'm exploring. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I found A Course in Miracles on my sponsor's coffee table when I was in AA, and he didn't really talk about it. I just knew him, and knew if he was reading that book, I wanted to know what it was about, and so I picked it up. It was kind of tough for me in the beginning, though, because of all the Christian language. Like a lot of folks, I have had resentments about the Christian religion. So, but those are getting healed. It's kind of an interesting process of learning to love my brother. Anyway. Yeah, I'm just so, it's good for me to come back into AA. I haven't been in the rooms for a while. Most of us haven't, I guess, in the last couple of years. That's gotten kind of squished with the pandemic. But I went back to Utah to the monastery, and I'm from Utah, and I needed to heal some relationships there. And so after the retreat, I went to visit family, and my little brother's way involved in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I attended some meetings with him, and it was really good for me to sit in a room full of I went to a women's retreat treatment center meeting, and it was like really new people into recovery, into treatment. And they were shaking in their boots. They were just so close to what had brought them there that it was really good for me to sit in there and remember what it was like. because that's not anything I ever want to experience again. I am so grateful to be in recovery. That's about really all I have to. I don't have any great words of wisdom for you today.
You always have great words of wisdom. we had great words of wisdom last night on the phone. What I want to use, what I want to jump on was, Lynn and Pam might not know that Kat and I belong to a spiritual community by the name of Living Miracles, that has a monastery in Utah. And Living Miracles is the teacher is David Hoffmeister, who's a Course in Miracles teacher. So if you hear us, and Lynn's giving all sorts of hearts and kisses and hugs, so she probably knows David already. So that's for this YouTube archive, but also for this YouTube archive. What was most important that I heard Kat say from the beginning were the grievances towards Christianity. And that was the juggernaut in my story. That was actually the juggernaut in my 12 step. I couldn't stay sober in the 12 steps. I kept slipping, because the higher power was a trip up every single time. I'd like to say it's because I'm a gay man, and everyone knows me has heard that story, ad nauseum. But David won't let me use that story anymore. David won't let me have. No, he won't. And Diona's getting a chuckle, so she's coming next. But David he was very gentle. It took him several years before he finally said enough of the Christian stories. He said, "Stop it." Basically, he said, so this takes work. I have to unbelieve the dream character, and all the stories of trauma. I'm not saying this is, I'm not going to wave a magic wand and unbelieve it. Kat's taking my screaming phone calls when I'm down by the river, using a lot of 4-letter words to get the pain body out. So this is work, but it's also full-time commitment. All of us have made this full-time commitment, especially my mighty companion Diona, who I cannot wait to unmute herself now. Oh God, Diona and I have been mighty companions since, what was it, April of 2020. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. Do you want to go next, Diona?
Thank you, Kenneth, so much. And I'm so grateful that you guys are here. It's so funny because I had been journaling like the last couple of months about, it kept coming to me. Oh, I want to talk about something like the 12 step, AA, the 12 steps, and A Course in Miracles. And then Kenneth comes, one mind, right? Kenneth comes up and this is presented. So I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity to come on here and share with you guys. But
Uh-oh, did she freeze? Everybody said yes. Diona, you're frozen, so until the internet gets repaired.
I think I
wanted
just
to
froze. Am I
Yeah,
okay?
but you're back now.
Okay. But I was reading the foreword to the first edition in the big book, right? And it says something to the effect of, this is how we have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And I'm like, and then I thought about at the time, like Emmett Fox had a lot to do with, I think it was Bill W. I don't know. I just know he had a lot to do with kind of the thoughts, Carl Jung and all of that when the big book was written. I don't know the facts specifically, but something along those lines. And Emmett Fox is a big metaphysical, he was a big metaphysical person. So when I think about my own experience, and like when I'm with, like when I'm at the treatment center, I think about the guilt that comes up for these, the stories that we buy into, that we identify with, that we believe was us, and we just can't seem to get past. And it seems to be such a stronghold for people in recovery, for people, who are in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. And I think the biggest thing for me is I just want to, it's like bringing the darkness to the light and really showing that you're not the stories, you're not the character. You I mean, I don't really know how to help people to jump from here to there to see that, hey, this isn't you. You didn't do this. You're believing that you did this, but in reality, this has nothing to do with what you really are, which is pure holy mind. I mean, you're a holy mind. And sometimes I mean, I'm at a place right now in this inward, like, this inward journey where I'm in the forgiveness process of just constantly reminding myself, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the insane voice talking to itself in my head. Let's step back. Let's, because that's where the rest, the red, the spiritual malady, as the big book talks about, that's where the insanity comes in for me. And I'm, wait a minute, let's step back. Let's be with the Holy Spirit. Let's bring the darkness to the light. This isn't reality. And just to hold that space, even when I feel extremely fearful, hold that space with Holy Spirit until the fear subsides. And then let Holy Spirit do the step 3, which is the last part of the forgiveness process. It just dissolves. And I've had experiences where it dissolves. And then there are those moments and those times where it feels like it's more intense. But I recognize that it's just, David has talked about before, like another facet of the same diamond. It's the same ego trick. It's the resistance. It's the ego. It's nothing different. It's not, oh, this feels stronger than that. No hierarchy of illusions. And I feel empowered as someone who appears to be on the other side of, I'm not drinking and I'm not using drugs, right? This character is not drinking, not using drugs. I feel empowered by sharing this message of hope that you're not the character, you're not guilty. You don't have to linger in hell with this immense guilt of what the character seems to do. Speaking from my experience, what I seem to do in the stories to get the drugs, to get the alcohol, and that there's no hierarchy of illusions. So yeah, that was, just kind of a lot of things bubbling to the surface that are coming up. Yeah.
That's why I record these, Deanna. I want to hear. Listen, I've been struggling with guilt. How could the more I wake up, it's like, Kenneth, did you really do that? Kenneth, did you really? So yeah, what this meeting's all about is we stand back. Yeah, the dream character, Kenneth. This cartoon character, Kenneth, did this. And what we're here to assemble is, what we do in my ministry, psychiatric sobriety. Who are we? That's if we can get connected to that one simple. They kept saying the 12 steps is a simple program. Well, it's simple because all we need to do is get reconnected. Getting reconnected sometimes means we have to, unwind a very complicated story. And when someone shares that nugget, Dion, I'm all on board, because the guilt is the reason I was trying to medicate, to try and assuage, what I believed to be true, which didn't turn out to be true. I'm not going to talk anymore because you already said it. I do want to hear from Casey and Dale. Oh, Dale's on board. I just texted Dale, reminded him, because I can't wait for him to start going. But before we get to Dale, Casey, I want to get to you next. You want to unmute yourself and just jump in before Dale gives us. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait to get Dale on recording. But Casey, do you want to jump in?
I'm just kind of wanting to listen, but I do appreciate everyone being here and having, creating this opportunity for us to talk and share and learn and learn from or share our experiences. So I just wanted to listen today.
That's great. I really I actually I appreciate when people come on and share that, because just by coming on board, you guys are helping me to put another square onto the Zoom computer screen, so I know there's this message is being dispersed. Okay, now hi Dale. I just
Hi.
messaged you. Dale, last time I turned off the recording button and you went on for another half hour, 45 minutes. This time the recordings button is going to stay on, because I just love when you go. I just love when you start going up. Everyone, I want you to meet Dale Blackford, Reverend Dale Blackford. And most people here who know me know that about 13 years ago, he popped me out of a suicidal state or God used him to pop me out of a suicidal state. I was coming off of major drugs, and I thought my brain had been damaged. I was ready to, anyway, we connected, Spirit connected us. He's a 12-stepper and a Course in Miracles, student, and, a Unity minister. And so anyway, Dale, we've got Lynn, you met Kat, you've already met Deanna, we've got Pam, and you've already met Casey, but I can't ask you to repeat what you did last week. Except that
Good. I don't know what I did last
just
week.
go. Just go.
Hmm.
Share with us here. Deanna, here's where we're kind of going. Deanna mentioned it, and Lynn brought it forward. If we can separate ourselves from the dream characters, the dream characters are so full of guilt. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Oh my God, I can't believe that I really treated that person this way. And you and I have talked about this before. And Deanna's a treatment center counselor, and she understands that if she can, in her recovery, if she can stand back and witness it as objectively and see it all as happening on a movie screen or on a stage play, that it makes this path not only doable, but it makes this path, you can actually start to get a chuckle out of it, if you can believe it or not. What once was the reason I was going to jump off a bridge now becomes kind of a movie I'm just watching, objectively. And I know that's what you've helped me out with over the years. Or any other topic you can think of. I just want to get you on record.
Well, that it could probably be funny and things like that, because when we start to see it from, if you're observing it, you start to get that it's not you, that what's going on is a drama that we talked about last time, about the idea of being on stage or in the canvas. You paint the picture and you jump in, and then you try and fix what's flawed in the canvas by pretending you're in it, and as a character in the canvas. And that's even, that's crazy, because there's flaws in your character, there's flaws in the character you've painted, and there's flaws in the world you've painted. So then it's like, but then there's this reality that you think, this reality that says, well, but this is reality. I'm actually this character, and this world is actually reality. And that's just, that's just what do they say? Batshit crazy, because it's, you can't win. You just can't win. That's why Einstein, when he's saying make your choice, the one choice you need to make is whether or not you live in a friendly or hostile universe. And to live in a friendly universe, you can't be really who you think you are, because I don't care what, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, I've made peace with myself of who I am. And I go, well, that's a great story. That's a great story, because you can't make peace with the character you are, because it's deeply, deeply flawed, because the realm that you've had to create it to live in is deeply, deeply flawed. And, that madness just continues. So I was thinking that, for me, spiritual practice really began with, but it started getting a little more developed when I was using the concept of willingness, because I was just feeling like I was, I just was feeling like that I knew enough, but I also was too smart for myself, that I really, I knew I thought I was smart enough that I didn't have to let go, really, when it came to what mattered. So the idea that I could be, the idea of willingness, I ran across a prayer and this is interesting. I used to still have thoughts like that prayer did something to me. It didn't do something. The prayer just reflected what was happening in me, the awareness that was starting to open up. And that was, the prayer was this, and it's a gendered God prayer, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to repeat it the way it came to me. And that was, it was, Father, I place my entire being in your hands, and I am formed according to the perfect pattern which you planned and prepared for me in the beginning, which in essence is I surrender to that perfection that I am, that I don't have a clue how to actualize or maybe even experience at times. I just don't know what to do, but I know it's real. Like I've made the decision, that's who I am. That becomes a bit, then the process goes from, instead of trying to fix and make things up to make myself look like what I believe, I go to the things of saying, well, instead of fixing things, I just am not seeing something. And then the willingness is to see. If I'm willing to see, then that's a pretty powerful concept, that if I'm willing to see, or even like even beginning saying, I'm willing to be willing to see, that's a good one too. Because for a lot of us, I don't think a lot of us, I think for most of us, there's such a resistance to seeing, because I know the truth makes me free, and it makes my world and my life so much better. And I also know that I'm not too crazy about dying. And that's how we become reborn, in awareness and beliefs and everything. It isn't like our beliefs and structures just get kind of sweetly altered. It's like they face collapse. I mean, all the things that have happened to me have been about collapse. And through that collapse, I was able to see. And that, what I wanted to say about the willingness really was something that helped me kind of, I don't know, it's like it opened doors for me. It gave me and also it gave me I don't know what the word would be like. When I was in the dark night of the soul, it cut my ability to unconsciously run, which I needed to have, because I wanted to, I couldn't just say this is when I was doing this dark night of the soul for about 2 years, I was in such agony and such pain, but I knew all along that it was working for me. I hated it, but it was working for me. And I knew I couldn't say something's wrong here. It was almost like if I said something was wrong here, because of that, knowing that it's a friendly universe and I'm just not seeing something, it would be like if God was a person and I said something's wrong here, and it'd be like God sitting in the audience, which is me too, going like, oh, bravo, Dale. God, you're so good at this drama. You are so, oh yeah. Are we ready to talk turkey now? Are we ready to talk about what's real? And one of the things I've seen when I talk with people about spiritual practice is, if I used to think it was, I don't know what I think about it. It's something I've practiced most all my life, and it's developed more, but I know a lot of people, sometimes when I talk to them, they don't even know what I'm talking about. And in fact, a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. And I don't know if they don't really know that they don't know what I'm talking about, or they've just gotten, I think almost like they've just gotten really, really good at denying that they know it, so to the point where they don't have to consciously do battle with not seeing. They can just go, oh no, I don't see that at all. And it was phrased earlier when you started, you asked me some questions about observing, like watching, and if you can observe and it starts to get lighter. Because I think spiritual practice really gets, when it starts to really get interesting, is when you can start to see yourself, or not even yourself, but that's what I have to call, the language is difficult because it's a dualistic language to talk about something that's holistic. And is to be able to see, to observe yourself, or observe the watcher watching. To observe the watcher watching. When that starts to happen, even in a little bit, where the observer can, in other words, like right now, I'm talking and I'm saying some stuff. That's why a lot of times too, when you said what you don't want me to repeat what I said last week. I don't know what I said last week, other than the pieces of what I watched. And were you guys hearing me at all?
Sorry, Dale. For some reason, there was a mute there for a second. So you're back on. I'm sorry.
Oh,
We
you
had a
Oh, cool.
30-second glitch.
Did you guys hear anything I was saying? I'm just
No,
curious.
no. Can you remember what you said?
All right. At any rate, let's see. I don't, yeah, like if like I said this last week, when I do one of the things I do best, probably I don't know, maybe it's the best. I hate like extremes, but it's public speaking. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know why, but it's one of the few areas where I just have no difficulty being totally naked when I do it. And I mean naked, like nothing's in the way. It's a process that started when I originally started gradually, where I couldn't write a talk when ministerial school. I just couldn't do it. So I would record a talk coming out of me, and then I would transcribe it and I'd give it to my instructor and say, this is my talk. Of course, if they asked me to do that talk again, I wouldn't be able to do it. But that all came to a place where finally, even in ministry stuff, I would come up and then I would get so inspired sitting there getting ready to speak while the chairperson did all the stuff, and all this stuff would be flowing through me, and I'd be going like, I got to remember this. Oh yeah, I'm going to start here. We're going to do this. Oh, this is so cool. God, this is great. I can't wait to get up here and start speaking, because it's just channeling through me like crazy. But then as time went by, I realized that was a problem, because I would take that up to me and and eventually, like I'd waste 5 minutes going like with myself going like, oh, what good part that I've stored in my head do I want to go with and work with? And it'd be like, if God was a person, God would be sitting there going like, oh, well, just get this out of your system, because this is just kind of bullshit. You know that. I mean, it's beautiful bullshit, but it's bullshit. And then once I got that out of my way, I'd talk myself through it till finally I was empty, and then things would move, really move. Because then what would happen, and this is, by the way, what I learned from that public speaking, is when I'm empty as a speaker, because that's just everybody's got gifts. Some people bake incredible muffins, and some people drive cars incredibly, and some people speak incredibly, are able to get out of the way. It's like they're creative. It's a creative flow. When I would speak that way, if I'm out of the way, it's really interesting, because people would come up to me a lot all the time, and they'd say, oh, they would say things like that would let me know that they were right with me on this. And I realized that what was happening was I was just given the opportunity to speak for a group consciousness and give it voice. And however that formed would be perfect. It would be just wonderful, because it was the point. The whole point was to do that. It's like I don't know why I'm rambling here, but I couldn't, as a minister, I could never get and sometimes my staff people or the board or something like that, would wonder about it, and they'd try and change it. And I go, I can't do that, because they'd ask me to do talk titles like ahead of time, and I couldn't do a talk title, because I'd go, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So I don't know. And then I just go up to my recording person afterwards and say, what do you think I said? They'd say, well, I thought you said this. I say, well, call it that then. Call it that. So Miles Davis said something like that. He said, what did he say? He had a quote where he said something like, I'll play it first, and we can name it later. And the whole idea of that we can do that we can, we can be open, and these incredible things can happen. is just something is special, but it does, I guess I'm just trying to find my place back here. I think it begins when we can start, I mean, not begins, but it starts actually making sense when we can start observing ourselves observing. Oh, that let's just say like, so when I'm talking, that's where I went with that. When I'm talking, or like now, or yeah, just now, I'm saying things, and it's like I'm saying things like I used to say things, where myself is there, although I don't tend to formulate it anymore, like from my thinker as much as I let it stream out. But there's that part of me, the observer, that's watching the whole thing while it's going on. It's like I'm speaking and something's coming out of me and I'm watching the whole thing. And I think I said last week, like a lot of times I haven't spoken in a church for a public setting for a while, but when I would do that, there would be times where I would be like one of the audience or the congregation members, that I would say something and I would even say it out loud. Usually when I'm talking, I'd say something and I'd go, in the midst of it, I go, and then there's this and this, and I go, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like I would write it down in my mind, going like, remember, like my ego would be in a little way going, remember this, Dale, as if I had to remember it. It came out of me and it just streamed through. But there's a part of me that went, I like that. I like that. I like that. Because when I'm observing everything, including this concept of self and this experience of that self, which I don't know if you could start to see that. It's real interesting, because when I can start seeing myself like how I would see a tree or a problem, or I don't know, anything, when I can start seeing myself like that, I think you can really see it's awfully hard to be attached to that. I mean, I'm not attaching to the trees in this park. I'm not attaching to this branch. There's a bench here, but it's here. And I'm not denying this bench, and I'm not denying those trees, but I'm also not attaching, to me, or whatever me is, this guy called Dale, that we've just, call him Dale, or I call Dale, or self, or whatever I call it. But I'm also not denying that thing, that person, which that brings me to that other point about like self-love, because I think that's the hardest part of a lot of our spiritual freedom, is how to love this thing we know we're not, that just acts so goddamn crazy sometimes. I mean, not sometimes, it's just like so much, it's so confusing inside this concept of self, in this concept of the world. And that's why there's so many classes and courses that say, well, let's organize this, let's control it, let's make it so that we can find out what's the real thing and project this out of here. And the whole thing is, I'm just like a bird. I'm just like a bird. And so and when people talk to me and when I talk to them, probably the better analogy would be, we're just chirping all along and we're just going like, I don't know what that person's saying, but they do it so well. They're so beautiful. At the same time that's happening, I'm observing it within the whole of everything, and I know what's happening. I know there's a symphony going on, and I'm great to be a part of that symphony. I'm going like, gosh, I can see that symphony. And then how can there be any self incrimination or shame or anything like that when you're seeing yourself as part of the symphony? There's no past even, because the past was all about that little locked in way you looked at yourself and had to see yourself that way. All this said, and I know some of this is going like way out here, the bottom line is, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because it's got to start with the sense that, are you okay? And is this universe okay, or is it not? And if it's not okay, wow, please don't ask me for help, because I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do in a hostile, seriously flawed realm that isn't real. I mean, I know I pretend I do at times, but I wake up, right? I'm waking up all the time because I can't, there's nothing I can do in that, that's what we goes back to last week too, when I was saying about when I was in the shower and, I was going through the end of that one dark night of the soul, and the person saying, what are you saying all the time? And I go, I'm not saying, what do you mean? What am I saying? She says, you're in the shower and you're saying, I've been staying in her place for like 6 weeks. And she said, every morning you're saying something. And she says, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to come down there and hang out by the shower, but she says, you're saying something over and over and over. It's the same thing. I don't know what it is. And I was going, no, I'm not saying anything. You kidding me? She said, no, you are. You should need to listen to yourself. And I went, I was really, I suppose I was kind of depressed. I was depressed, and I was deeply depressed. I wasn't afraid of it. I was just deeply depressed. I was despaired. I was despairing, but I wasn't afraid. Because I knew too much to be afraid anymore. I just was despairing. Yeah. So I was kind of shut down. I was really shut down. Really, I was feeling like emotionally and mentally, I was just shut down. I was just doing everything rote. So I'm in the shower scrubbing myself. And then I want, like 2 weeks after she said that, I hear myself and it's like a nervous tick. If I could act it out, it would be like this. I don't know it was like that, but it was like this. It was like, if I was washing myself, I'd be going like, I don't know. 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 And it took me a little while to figure out what that was, because the first thing all I did was, Jesus says, know the truth, truth makes you free. Well, I knew the truth. And I was saying this. I was actually saying it. I was doing it. And I was doing it like over and over and over. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And that was in response to my ego, which my ego was really ramped up because it was not able to get me to move. I was so powerless. I was getting so powerless that my ego could not get me to move, could not motivate me out of fear and should and ought to do a damn thing. Could not motivate me. And I was slipping deeper and deeper into unmotivatedness, an unmotivatableness, something like that, if that's a word. And so it's like trying its damnedest, going like, what's going to, pictures of homelessness, of my kids never seeing me again, of slipping off the edge of the earth, whatever, the worst things that I could imagine for me were there. And he, like, the ego was like presenting them all and saying, how are you going to prevent this? What are you going to do? How are you going to get out of this? This is where we're going. How are you going to get out of this? How are you going to get out of this? And it was really, now that I look back, I go, damn, that was really sweet. Because there was a part of me that didn't say, you want to record this, but it wasn't saying F you, ego, F you, shut your damn mouth, or I'm not going to talk to you, ego. I'm not going to talk to you. And, I didn't have any energy for that anyways, but it was just saying, it was like a little child when it's screaming at me, like an unruly parent screaming at me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm just sitting there going like, I don't know. 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 Because I didn't know. I really didn't know. And that was powerful, because if I didn't know, I couldn't make up and stay busy with what craziness I could concoct to stay in that place, and judge myself for making it or not making it. I really come to that place. And I tell this story. I tell this story more than once because I think it was so powerful for me. And then, Bobby, about 8-9 months later, then that's when my ego said something different. And it all happened in an instant. It wasn't like it was a long conversation. It was in an instant. And, the ego's going like, it looks like a teenager coming up to me and looking at me and looks me in the eye and says, because here I am. I don't know. And I'm not doing anything. And it says, what's going to happen to us? It's a good question from the ego. Usually it doesn't say what's going to happen to us. Usually what it says is, I'll tell you what's going to happen if you don't do something right now. This is what's going to happen. Are you ready for that? Are you scared enough? Are you should enough now? Well, it just came up to me and went, almost like it said, we're past that point, aren't we? And I said, yeah. And it says, what's going to happen to us? And it said, well, first it said, no, that wasn't what it first said. First, it said something even more powerful. It said, you can't, it was a great thing. It just excited me to no ends because my ego said, you can't do any of this, meaning I couldn't do any of its threats. I couldn't do what it was asking me or insisting that I do, the planning and everything. It said, you can't do this. It didn't say you won't do it, which, you know, that's a thing the ego could control. It said, you can't do this, can you? And I went, it's like I looked at it and I just got really excited. I went like, no, I can't. You got that, right? I mean, I'm not fighting you. I just can't do it. I mean, no, can't do it. And then it's like it put its head in my mind. It put its head down like a really troubled teenager. And it went, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to us? And I said, see, now I'm the observer and I'm watching this. And that's when I could see all that. And then like me, the ego saying, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to us? And the observer standing there right there, like around it and saying, and I said, I don't know. This is exactly what I said in my mind. I said, I don't know, but we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And it's like, and it was inferred that I didn't say it, but it was inferred that I would watch over it, like that, as far as whatever that okayness was, that wasn't going to be my ego's purview. That was going to be the observer's purview, that I would be the one who would watch. And that wouldn't be that I would be doing it. Basically, what I would be doing, saying is, I'm on guard, I'm watching. Because I'm the one who's going to sit here in the moment that anything is happening and everything is happening. I'm the one that's going to be in the moment, and I'm going to be the one looking at it, and I'm going to be asking this important question, ego, this important question, because I know this is a question you were built upon. And that question is this: right now, are we okay? Are we okay? And I'd look and I'd feel and I'd go consistently, I'd go, yeah. And of course, the ego would want to say, but what about the next moment when the other shoe would drop? And I go, well, you know, I don't deal with potential shoe droppers. You know that, don't you? I can't actually deal with that. I can't even conceive of it, of like how I would deal with it. And it's like the ego goes, oh yeah, I know. And then the ego could say things to me like, well, can I go ahead and scare you all I want? Can I be the ugliest son of a, you know what, ego on the block? Can I be something that a psychologist would say, you're seriously messed up? Can I be that? And I, as the watcher, would say, well, of course you can, because you're trying to save me in a world that you think is going to hurt me. And in a way, I'd like go, you can't help it that I see the world larger than you and that it would never hurt me. It could never hurt me. And that we're okay in the moment, always. So I don't know why you're still here doing what you do, why I still have you here doing what you're doing. It's because I created it. I said, I don't know why that is, but what I do know this is anything in my life that exists, it's in a friendly universe, and it's not to be thrown away or chased away or treated with disrespect and not love. And especially if I don't know what it's doing. I mean, because I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. Now, this is like 12 steps. That's one of the key to the 12 steps is you really don't know. You really don't know. And if you don't know, if you really, really don't know, then you can discover, because you're not in the way. Your concept of self or your ego's not in the way. Mine can buzz all around, but it's still going like, it's still every moment it's going, it's saying, if it does that, it says, you can't do anything about any of this though. I'm just kind of rambling, aren't I? And I go, yeah, but you ramble really good and it's okay. And you can do this, you can keep doing it. And then of course, and this is all in an instant, it's always saying to me, circumstance will show up. And one of the first things it'll say is, are we still okay? Are we still all right? And I'm sitting there going, look, and I look from the moment and I go, look around, and it's an easy thing to see and just go, well, am I under immediate threat? From what? No, I'm not. you know, even when I went in the hospital and I went through this medical stuff, and some of it, you know, was at times really was kind of scary for me and my ego. But every time I'd stop, I go, are we okay? And I go, yeah, we're okay. We're all right. So I've said a lot, but probably stop
That's why I
right
brought you on board. I wanted you to say a lot.
What's that?
That's why I brought you on board. I wanted you
Oh,
to say a lot.
okay.
I wanted to
But maybe
record. I wanted to
maybe somebody's got some questions or ahas or something they want to share on that. Or
I've been
like,
trying to get you
what do you
recorded for
what do you mean by that?
I've been wanting to follow you around with a tape recorder for the last 10 years. I finally got Zoom with a record button. Anybody want to jump in there, because you guys, he covered all the bases, and he covered it. You know, this is why I wanted to bring Dale on board. This is what his looks like. I want to hear what yours looks like. You know, we study the 12 steps, and we study the Course in Miracles, not to become 12-step Course in Miracles philosophers, but to bring it in and to show us how to begin to live life, how to begin to love it. This is what I wanted recorded. Is this is what love looks like? Saying, I'm all right with it. You know, it's going to be messy. And you know what? Mess is going to be part of this. This is what Dale gave me, you know, 13 years ago, was the permission slip to be messy. I had to go through the mess to get to the prize. He covered all sorts of bases. You know, I took, of course, you know, I took all these notes. My favorite one, of course, had to do with collapse, and that ties directly into the 12 steps and directly into the Course in Miracles, because we don't get to the 12 steps if you know, we get there because of collapse. And generally, people can get to the Course in Miracles before a collapse, but they really don't do it until they've had a collapse. And Dale was the first one who turned everything around for me. From my paradigm, collapse was failure. When I met Dale, collapse was a key to unlock a door to something that I couldn't, to a new paradigm, to basically, in his own words, is something I wasn't seeing before. Now I've got to shut up. Who wants to go next? And if you don't want to go, I'm going to probably pick on Watson, because he was the one who wanted to get Dale back. You got to unmute yourself.
My apologies for being late today. I completely forgot about the time and whatnot, and I didn't get to hear the first 30 minutes of Dale or the entire conversation. I don't. I'm a little bewildered right now with other things going on, but then that ego stuff is bombarding me. So I don't have a lot to say, Kenneth, right now. I got to collect my thoughts, and perhaps I'll say something unrecorded after the hour is up. But thank you
Okay.
for calling on me. Dale, it's great to see you again.
To
All
see
of
you
you.
too. Yeah. Well, you know,
How about
there's one thing I wanted to say too that maybe before I forget about, because I know you got this groups on A Course in Miracles and 12 steps, and I know a lot of times people think that they're really different, like one's one way and the other, and I don't see that. I don't see anything really different, but the one thing I like about that I've had to work with 12 steps on, of how I do 12 steps, is because a lot of times there's an idea that the whole idea of the concept of it being an illness, and the person, you know, like has no power. And I hope I kind of explained that a little bit through like my relationships. To me, like the ego and the self and all that, in a nutshell, that's the same. All the various psychological levels of it, it's the same. It's the out picturing in my mind of who I think I might be. And that, of course, that fails. That's that collapse. That fails because it has to fail. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, I go back to that saying of Jesus when in the Gospel of Thomas, when he says something like, he says, but I am amazed at how this wealth has found itself in such poverty. And that's what that's what thinking does. It creates this incredible, narrow, tiny world of self and isolation that is so poor, has no resources. I end I end there, I end there. No, I don't end there. In fact, I'm in the trees right behind me, and in you and everyone, I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent. And then, but so with the 12 steps, when you work with that, I'm always kind of working with the idea of like it's like the beginning of the 12 steps of how it came about for me is like how to deal with the ego, the addictive ego, how to deal with it. And the first thing is to recognize it. And all the principles that work with 12 step, I think when you're starting to get somewhere into some real peaceful, expansive spiritual practice, you start seeing that the 12 steps is really kind of like helping you see the truth about like my ego, that so they could come up to me and say, that I'd love it enough. And it could go, like my ego would say, that everything I've been telling you to do and how we work in this world, it's really screwed up. You know that, don't you? And I go, well, yeah, I do know that. I see it. It's really helped because I can see that. But I'm not, am I? My concept of who I am and stuff is not wrong or bad. No. Everything, it all fits in somehow. So when we're working with that, but that's one of the places in 12 steps where when you move more into spiritual practice, you have to eventually break through, and that is, making peace and love and acceptance and forgiveness of really how you've judged yourself. Because actually addiction is incredible. I mean, when I speak the best, I already said how I speak. I speak the clearest and I get the most for me when I'm with people like you. And reason why is because you are people who, and other addicts too, or whatever, that have actually gone farther in awareness to see larger picture of what doesn't work. You're not just unconsciously repeating the same thing. You're going like, this doesn't work. And that's a credible thing, because that's like me going up to my ego again and saying, you're seeing that you can't do any of this anymore, can you? And I go, because that's real healing. Healing isn't like I won't do it anymore. Because if I say to you or my ego, I won't do it anymore, you can be damn sure I'll be doing it, probably in the next minute. I'll be doing it. But when I can't do it, that comes out of a realization where I'm actually seeing, and I'm going like, it's almost even like, not, it's beyond like, why would I do it? It's really like, I look at it and I go, nope, tank's empty. There's no juice available for that. Have no imagination, no vision. I got nothing to motivate me to act on that. Nothing's there. When there's nothing there to act on illusion, then you can let go of illusion, because you're really realizing that it is illusion. You don't have any little like side bet or like side interest to, well, let me give it another shot. And there's nothing wrong with giving another shot, doing more field work. Like for instance, in 12 step and addiction things, I don't think acting out's a bad thing. I think acting out's a good thing, but it becomes a very painful thing if you act out and you just go unconscious and you just keep doing it. But if you actually, because you're not watching, if you start to watch your acting out, whoa, that is powerful. That's more powerful than anything you can do, is watch yourself in like, so that the questions would come up and say, what am I getting out of this? Really? No, it's okay. So say I say it's okay to drink my ass off. Say I say that's okay. Now, when I'm drinking, then what am I getting out of this? Really, what am I getting from this? What are the, in my people around me, in my life, and how do I physically feel? How does it feel to wake up in somebody else's car with puke all over me? I mean, really? Well, it's exciting because of the drama. Oh yeah. But what else? Well, I feel shame. I shut down. I'm not aware here. I kind of obfuscate. I kind of fuzzy up my mind to kind of go, this didn't happen. I'm gonna do better, and it'll never happen again. And this whole illusion like that happens. When you can see that, like the things I saw when I was in that darkness about depression, I'd go into depression, and I mean, I went so down so deep in depression, And I could go deep because I had to go deep because there was nothing in me that said this was wrong. It was more like, oh shit, how deep, how hopeless can one get? And then when I got down to the most hopeless state, my ego gave me a real nice shot. It goes like in an instant, this impression, it says, well, you know that this is leading to freedom. This is leading to collapse, don't you? I go, yeah, I know that. That's why I haven't I haven't even tried to kill myself or anything, as if I could. And then the ego says, well, he says, that could be true, but what if you kind of, do you have any belief in past lives? And I go, or future lives? And I kind of, part of me was going like, I don't know, maybe. It said, well, what if your healing or your collapse isn't going to happen till another life? While I'm in this total darkness. And that's when, and almost at that point, if I could have looked at it, which I eventually did, I probably would have said to the ego, thanks, I needed that. I needed that extra shot to remind me how incredibly hopeless it is for me to follow any path of reasoning right now. I am so beyond reasoning. Their reasoning isn't going to do nothing to free me. I'm in God's grace right now. I need help, the kind that comes from within me, the deep help that I don't even know where it's at. And of course, that help comes. It does. That's the interesting thing. It's there. It's just when you get yourself out of the way, but you can't get everybody says that, get yourself out of the way. If somebody was to say to me, get yourself out of my way, or get yourself out of your way, I'd be like, next, please. Next. How do you get yourself out of your way? I only know one way, and that is you collapse on your concept of who you think you are. It has to collapse, because otherwise you'll keep digging in some way, unconsciously, subconsciously, you'll keep trying to make it happen. I have a friend that he's aware of that totally, and he goes through that, and he calls me and he says, he's talking about it. Oh, he's fighting that part of himself, the subconscious, and bouncing back forth. And I just go, I don't think that's wrong. I go, bless your heart. And I'm with him, because I when he talks like that, I go, yeah. And I go with him. I say, yeah, I know what that's like. And then you feel this, and then you say that, and then you do that, and then nothing ever changed. I say, yep, been there, done that. I've been there, done that today. That happens, but none of it's real. None of it's real. And you got to know that. You got to know, but because something's not real doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But existence is the drama, is the play. And you want that to, and I think we want that to end, but you don't want it, you want that to end in a way which, well, there's nothing I faced in my life that I couldn't face. And there was nothing beyond any pain that I knew eventually, in reality, that I needed to have to see that. I mean, there was nothing really beyond that. No, there was nothing beyond that. And then, when you see light, like depression, for instance, I went so far down in depression, and then all of a sudden I'm down there, and without describing all the other stuff, it's like I'm down there, and the light breaks through, and I see the light in all this darkness. And I go, it's like literally, you almost go like, well, God, I didn't know this place was lit up. And then, depression became really different for me, because I was depressed all my life. Like every few weeks I would go through a bout of depression from when I was a little kid. But now depression for me it's sweet downtime. That's all it is. When I feel like something like depression, it's like, it's not even depression. It's like, it's time to just watch a little more clearly, because and it's like, I don't have to do anything, because before, when I would, if you ever watch the commercials for depression medicines, all of them have little motto in them, which I just crack up with every time I hear it. They say, you take this drug, and they say, keep moving forward. And in depression, that basically that's saying, fight your depression and hurt more from the failure of yourself to stop it. Really hurt. really get scared, really get down because you can't stop it. You know, when I counsel with people on depression, I love counseling with people with depression. In fact, a therapist would tell me that, said, how do you do that? And I said, oh, I just love it. Because if somebody's really depressed, I'm not excited because they're depressed, but if they're really depressed, their eyes are open, they're looking. And one of the first things somehow that I would say to them would be like, I want to ask you a question here. And can you give me an answer? And sometimes they can answer right away and sometimes they can't. Sometimes I have to ask it a few times in different ways. But the question is, have you ever thought that this depression might be the best thing that ever happened to you? Have you ever thought about that? How could it be? Have you ever imagined how it could be the best thing that ever happened to you? Which it is actually, collapse is, but are you willing to consider that? Now, this is the thing. You don't have to figure out what it is or even imagine the best thing possible or judge yourself for doing it or not. It's the willingness to actually look at that goes like your ego just freezes, you know, that's supposed to keep you judging yourself like that. When you do something like that, it just goes, it like freezes in awe and goes like, for me, my ego goes, what the hell is this guy doing? We need to get out of this place. He's saying this could be the best, possibly the best thing that ever happened to me. No. And I'm sitting with my ego with my arm around it going like, hey, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that, you know, you want to believe this is the worst place that's possible. Okay, I hear that. I got that. And I'll take your feedback for that. Fine. I got it. You don't need to tell me or threaten me with anymore because I got it. And if it does, I go, look, I got it. I got it. You're saying this is the worst place. But I'm going to consider looking and seeing how also it might be the best thing that ever happened to me. And then now that to be able to do that opens your mind way open, because the ego will keep it, your belief structure will just keep it locked down in this. What was it, Rumi that said something like, sell your certainty and buy bewilderment, something like that. Sell your certainty and buy bewilderment, because certainty is what keeps you locked down, not completely, because we can only stay locked down. So this is the beautiful thing. We can only stay locked down so long, and then we pop out. I mean, everything that's happened to me hasn't happened because I was just gracious and wanting this all to happen. I fought it tooth and nail. Especially the dark night of the soul stuff. I fought it tooth and nail. I mean, I was screaming. I remember being in Alaska on the stairways, just curled in a fetal position and swearing at my grandfather and Jesus and anybody else who'd listened about, where the hell are you? You know, you said you'd be with me, you know, and these truths, and I don't see you anywhere. You know, and at the same time knowing, you know, that wasn't true, but I needed to do that because I was in such pain and so afraid. And and then when I popped through, of course, then my relationship I hate to talk about relationship with Jesus because it's so mystical and it's just nothing like anything that people would imagine. It's not even like it's not like a relationship with a person. It's not even a relationship. But my idea of that being this avatar is that when I came out of that, he was sitting there going like, he wasn't even talking to me. I'm sitting there going like, you were there the whole time I was going through that, weren't you? It was like, yeah. I said, and you knew I could go through it, didn't you? It was like, yeah. And you knew I needed to go through that, didn't you? He went, yeah, I knew that. But you were there the whole time. Because early on in my spiritual practice, my grandfather had thrown out a little trick to me, because he was an old Baptist, and he had said, when he was worried about me going to military, he told me, if ever I was in trouble, just call out the name of Jesus and that he would come to me as a presence. And I tested that 3 times in my life when I was really in trouble. And whatever that was, it happened. Cut off the trouble like that. And then, in fact, one time it cut off the trouble, and it was like an exciting kind of trouble, but I knew it was trouble. I was in this real extended awareness consciousness, and it just knocked it down. It just brought me back to earth, to the point where I kind of went from, oh my God, what's happening to me, to, Oh, I missed that. I had an opportunity there. It went that quick. Yet when I was going through this thing about collapse, I was ready to do that. Uh, I didn't get any help like that. And I want to just pass this on too. This is a collective awakening. So what I'm sharing with you, like I want to say this too, because I said this last week, and that was people had asked me about the dark night of the soul, and I haven't really described it that much, but it was dark, and it was dark, very, very, very dark, 24/7, 365. Only time it wasn't dark was when I just maybe in the dream state. I don't know that much because I couldn't remember my dreams, but like 5 minutes maybe before I fell asleep, because I would fall asleep. There was like a peace window that 5 minutes before I went to sleep. Waking up was hell, but the 5 minutes before I went to sleep, it was there. And I don't know where I was going with that, but the one thing I wanted to share with that was that, oh, I know, because people would ask me after I'd speak on this or share on it, they'd say, well, they'd hint at, they'd say, how was it? Was that something that, I go, yeah, that was the most incredible experience of my life. It freed me. It saved me, I'm not in depression anymore, but depression is something different. It's not bad. It's just, like I said, it's kind of a window of observation now, that in a different way. But oh, I'm glad that happened to me. I'm so grateful that happened to me. It was such a gift, and it still is. And this was the other question, if anyone asked me and said, well, you have daughters and you have friends, how would you feel? Would that be something you'd like to see them go through? And I'd go, I didn't know. That isn't even the question. The question was, it was more personal than that. The question has been, would you willingly do that again if you could? You know what I said to that is no. Because only reason I find that I can go through amazing things when my mind's not anticipating what it's going to be like and trusting that it's friendly. And then I can go through things and they can transform right before my eyes, because I'm meeting the circumstance now. I'm not trying to go where I think it's going to be and what that could be like. And the last thing I wanted to say on that part was, I feel grateful about that too, because anytime one of us, we're in a time of collective awakening. I think the whole concept of individual awakening is dying totally away. It makes sense too, because the idea of individuality is actually an illusion. So the way we wake up is together, because we're literally one. In fact, I don't even want to go in that, but the more and more I see things, the more and more I realize, oh my God, my whole idea of that, you have an awareness, I have an awareness, you have a Christ, or you have a center, I have a center. I don't know that that's true anymore. I think that somehow we are literally, not figuratively, we literally are one. And this whole experience is something about the illusion of separateness to come to this place. I don't understand it all, but because of that, what's a really neat thing is, as we get together, is like the thought that, like, for instance, that you or my daughter would have to go through what I went through to collapse. It was worth it. But would I want that for another person necessarily? I say no. However, this is the other great thing, is that we don't have to, because the things that you've gone through too, I don't have to go through, as we come closer and closer together to our collective awakening, because we do it together. If I go through it and you go through it, we all have gone through it. There's no need for another, it's like it's almost in the ether. Like if we start to go in it and I get like, I start to go into a place where you've been and I go, I'm scared. This looks like this. And then it's like almost your presence is there saying, yeah, and it looks like this and it looks like that. And there's this around the corner. And then you're afraid of that. And then you think that it's okay. Because you know what happens next is you go here and that's where the light starts to shine. And you go, oh, yes, that's true. Why is that true? Because I just necessarily went through it experientially? No, because I tapped into myself as you giving me that. You've given me that already. And each of us are here doing that. We're exploring some part of awakening, especially in 12-step people and of course in miracle people who have a cognitive awareness, like an awareness of that. That means, and I don't mean that you're special in the sense that the people I'm talking about awareness. You're aware. Your awareness has started, has opened. The flower has started to bloom, which is important. They say that, I don't know what the percentage is, but I believe it. It's like the 100th monkey effect. Well, Krishnamurti said basically I love Krishnamurti, and he said that in 1982, he said that there only needed to be 10 people on this planet who he described enlightenment would be the ability to listen to a person without, for the purpose of being there to midwife their expression and have no intention or nothing in the way that would come back in your mind to reflect on what you heard. You'd just be the midwife of that. That's really listening. You'd be the midwife of someone giving birth to what's hidden inside. And he said if there were 10 people on this planet who could do that, he was talking to David Bohm, the great British physicist, and he said if there were 10 people who could do that, he said that, basically said the world would transform instantaneously. And Bohm, who's this great thinker, the thing he said to Krishnamurti was, well, how come that hasn't happened yet then? Krishnamurti said, there aren't 10 people. I want to be one of those people, not because of any glory or anything like that, but I want to be one of those people. And I at least want 10 people, to do that. I want to see that. I want to feel that. I want to know that. I want to be able to be that clear that I could come up to you and that both ways that I could share everything, that I could feel like I could, we have a hard time sharing what's inside us because it's so guarded. Can you imagine being in the presence of someone that you just knew that you could share everything and then it would start unlocking and it would just start coming out like a stream of rain and just freedom, and that we could do that with ourselves and each other. We need that. We need that, and I think it's happening. God, I keep going with this. I watched a movie the other day called Bullet Train. You heard of that? Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Violent movie, and not really a lot of redeeming values, but it was a good violent entertainment. And then at the very end, though, Brad Pitt's character, who's kind of a doofus, he's with this at very end, and I'm not giving away the plot or anything. Is Sandra Bullock is like going to take him away at the very end, and she's got this really cool car. And at the end, all this stuff's been destroyed, and then they're saying, he's going like, well, that's a cool car, that's beautiful. And she's going, yeah, it is. And the next thing you see is this big tower of the remaining destruction that's around them falls and just crunches the car, just crunches it. And she's like, oh, crestfallen. And Pitt looks at it and goes, oh. And then he says this. He says, he says something like, oh, but this actually could be a very good thing. And then he says something like, see, I'm practicing this. And I'm looking at that movie and I'm going like, wait a minute. That is a pretty powerful spiritual teaching for this kind of for anything, let alone a movie like this. And there it was. It was spoken in this movie. And I'm going like, I had two reactions. My ego went, oh, that's kind of my thing. The ego, went, oh, that's kind of my thing. What are they doing? And then the next part was like, yeah, and someone else is already seeing this. And I going like, wow, that is so cool. That is so cool. You Course in Miracles people, like, to see I mean, can you imagine a world where the Course in Miracle teachings, people start actually using them in common conversation and with meaning? Like, wow, I see that. Anyway, yep.
That's why I brought you on. I wanted all of that recorded. And we had about, I mean, I stopped taking notes, a while back
Oh,
because
it's
I ran out of paper.
11:25.
Yeah. But no, that's the reason. I said I wanted to keep the recording button going because last week, I stopped the recording, you kept going, and I wanted to get it all. I mean, there were like 10 different topics. I mean, footprints in the sand. That's why I record these, so we can go back over the transcripts. But I want to give Lynn and Pam a chance. What do you want to respond to some of that? I mean, can you see now why I wanted to get this recorded? You can see now why this man, popped me out of my dark night. Well, he never popped me out of my dark night of the soul 13 years ago. He gave me the permission to go through it. He gave me the permission. When I heard his perspective on the dark night of the soul, all the spiritual people were saying I was having a problem that needed to be spiritually fixed. This man said this was not a problem to be fixed. This was a rite of passage. It's a game changer. But I'm going to stop talking. Either one of you want to unmute and just, do you have anything to add? I hope you do, because there was a lot there.
Wow. Thank you so much, JL. Wow, that was wonderful. When I was younger, I always used to say, if this is all there was, it's got to be a cool joke. And I'm so glad I was wrong. I found, and also about the dark night of the soul. I held on to Khalil Gibran, the prophet. The deeper sorrow carves in you, the more joy you can contain. Yeah, thank God, And I love the way, sometimes I picture, when I'm feeling bad, I picture myself looking with the person who's enfolding me, And I have a little poem, if I could read it real quick. I've written a lot of poetry, and I was in therapy most of my life, and the last therapist I had kept validating me that this was real, the shift was real. And she told me I had to document it, which I do. But anyway, I trust. Yeah, like the Course in Miracles and the 12 steps. Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. Okay. No more need to second guess. I am here. It is okay. In your dream, you look with me. I am here. It is okay. Allow all terror, any fears. I am here. It is okay. All are echoes of a path long gone. I am here. It is okay. I am you. It is okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wonderful how it's so, oh my God, I was never a part of Ram Dass's commune, but, like now I feel a part of it, It's gotten way bigger, peace, love, and not only that, there's so much light. We have the ways to do it. Well, even in the 12 steps, it's a blessing to be among divine. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pam, did you want, before, as we start to kind of wind this down, Pam, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to contribute. How was that? Was a lot. but spirituality, can be like trying to take a drink of water from a fire hydrant. I'm on board. I couldn't be more thrilled that we're all here together. How was that?
I very much enjoyed myself, and I'm really glad I came. And I could relate. I could relate to the dark, being in the dark. And for myself, I see that as postpartum depression that I suffered from. I can say, well, I mean, language is just language, okay? I have words and I use those words to express myself and, take them for what they are. It's the language that I have right now. Reflecting back now on that postpartum depression and seeing it for, looking at it, I realized what a gift it was. I'm grateful I survived it, and in this human body, and I'm grateful that my children are okay in their bodies and in their spirit too. But it was a really dark place to be, I wouldn't be where I am now unless I had gone through that experience. And along with the addiction too, there's no way I would have gone looking, seeking anything spiritual had I not been so desperate that I needed something. I needed that gift of desperation. It took me a long time to find it. And I'm starting this is timely. I'm getting together with a girlfriend in my AA group, and we're going to be running a 12-step workshop for women. We have a lot of newcomers post-COVID. And so this is really helpful to me because the spiritual angle, it can be very, very touchy, with people that I've never, I don't know how to explain it in words, but it can be very touchy. So for me to be able to be around people who are willing to express their spirituality in this manner is really important. It means a lot to me and it helps me a lot. And so I'm really appreciative of the fellowship. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Before we wrap this up, I want to introduce somebody who synchronistically I connected with 2 days ago. His name is Les. Let's see if I need to, how do I unmute him? Do that. I asked to unmute. Les, we're kind of wrapping it up, but I just want to give everybody on this call a chance to participate. You can go back into the archives. We're recording it for YouTube. Dale Blackford is a Unity minister, a 12-stepper, and a Course in Miracles student. And I brought him on board for a reason, because 13 years ago, he helped me through something that I didn't think I was going to make it through. And he just has a gift of speaking. So he's about 45 minutes to an hour on this archive. But I want to give you a chance to just jump right in, because this is a Zoom call for everyone. How are you, buddy? It was great to meet you 2 days ago. The floor is yours. Do you want to share with us?
Sure. It's a pleasure to see you again and be with everybody that's on this Zoom call. Like the lady said, the fellowship is a great connection when you come from two things that are most important, that's common for all of us, that I think I brought it up. Our being human, that we have in common is so important for us to focus on, to understand that importance above our differences. And that's number one. And having and spirituality. You can be a person that is connected to higher source and God, whoever your God is. But the thing that I see here is, and what I call more about religion, It's the components of all major religion, and that's compassion, kindness, and love. And just by the short visit I'm here, I see it, I feel it, and I think that if this is, I think the how when we are aware and awakened to this feeling, and if it's and I think the connection to God and the 12 miracles that which people on your podcast there, this is what it's about to them, to help them understand, the connection not only to God but to people that's going through the darkness, like I'll say. And there's so many people going through different darknesses. This is just one. The addictions, there's many types of addictions, many types of suffering. But to me, when people can be open and share their heart on this, that brings the God within us out. We all are and I'm Jewish, but my God, I love all people. The more I see a shining face and I feel their heart, I connect with it. They don't have to be Jewish. They can be Muslim. They can be Christians. And that's the way my mind works, because I love life and I love people. And then the more I see people doing the same, any shape or form, I connect. So basically, I'm here to support everybody here on your journey and share a few smiles and maybe share more of my story. Joe knows that, where I'm coming from. I mean, Ken, where I'm coming from. I share my story. I can share it any time, but I'm just thankful every day that I'm alive. And I use well, just briefly, I might as well tell you quick. It's hard to explain and share something about your story in life, which is that you're so deeply involved with, and I'm 71, so it's not just I can share maybe a few minutes of maybe a half a page, but this is right now a beginning. And I'd love to share more. But anyway, my life's been mostly about serious mental health issues to myself and my family that I struggle with every day. And it's getting my mind off the seriousness of when I see my family suffer with it. My two children, they're adults and they need me. They're very dependent. And I see what they go with, how they live with the present healthcare system, but definitely we all know needs to improve. But the thing is, we still got to get through a day, right? We got to get through a day, no matter what's going on in the outside of the world. We have to find good things to connect to, and this is what it's all about. That's our strength to get through from 1 minute to the next, 1 hour to the next, one day to the next, and then we build on that. So I just want to leave it at that. This is not it. The hell I see is my motivator to bring the best out of myself and to inspire, the same with everybody else. And when I see good things like this, I want to make sure I acknowledge everybody here. I'm very proud of everybody here when moving forward. And, I can tell they're working from the inside and out. They're loving themselves because they see a path through God. They see that connection and God's coming through them and they feel it. So I can't say anything more about, good about, what's going on with these people, what you're doing. And I just love it. I'm just so excited and enthusiastic to be here for this moment. Anytime I can be on a Zoom with you guys, I'd love to be here, just whether I say anything, just to hear the stories. And that's what one more I gotta say more. The stories. I inspire people so much. Please tell me your story, so I can acknowledge you as a human being. How important you are to everybody in your family, your community, in the world. People don't know, that feeling until they open up. Because when you're in that darkness, you hold that so deep. You hold that darkness. You know that. And then to get out of that darkness, it's a hard climb. So you know that, and you've talked to many people, but it's not about the past. It's about this moment and going forward. And that's all I want to leave with you. That I'm here to be in a moment of celebration with you guys, to celebrate every moment, every hour, every day of living. So God bless everybody. And I wish everybody to continue on their success on their journey.
Thank you.
Not only do we have Reverend Dale, now we have Reverend Les. Sorry, I'm just gonna get, thank you. Hey, listen, folks, we got to start wrapping up for the YouTube archive. So I want to give, if Kat and Casey wants to jump in, you know, as we begin to wrap up for the recording, we'll leave the Zoom room open because you guys can have a Zoom. I got free Zoom for, you know, as long as you want. But did you guys want to jump in for the recording itself for the archive? Casey just left. But Kat, you can just say yes, I want to unmute, or no, I'm done. I can't. So you are done. All right. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap this up unless there's anybody else want to. We got Lynn's doing this, and Watson, you just wanted to listen. So, folks, thanks for attending this. I've taken so many notes I can't even remember what day it was. I wrote down the date. This is Saturday, October 15th, and this is the third Zoom call that we've done for a meeting that I'm hosting. I'm calling this meeting 12 Steps to A Course in Miracles. But like I said at the very beginning of the meeting, this is guided. These meetings go in whatever direction they're supposed to go for whatever messages need to get delivered. And this meeting, we had Lynn, Pam, Watson, Les came in late. We had Kat. We've had Deona. She had to leave to go to treatment. She's a treatment center counselor. And we had Casey, who had to leave. Folks, I couldn't be more thrilled. I archived these for the nuggets. So I'm going to end the Zoom recording now. And if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below. Reach out to me. And that's all I'm going to say. I said too much. May the force be with you. God bless. Bye.
Bye-bye.